I'm Dr. Rodney White with Sympathetic Chiropractic, and today we're going to have a little discussion about pain and the role that stress plays in it. Because right now there's literally millions and millions of people just in this country alone, let alone around the world, who are suffering from some kind of physical pain, whether it's back pain, migraines, headaches, fibromyalgia and autoimmune problems, and all of these different things. And pain is very poorly understood. We used to think that certain cells or receptors in our body would light up due to pain, and the amount they were stimulated would be the amount of pain that we would experience. But it's not quite what happens. See, no matter where you are injured or no matter what goes on in your body, the pain is always felt up here in our brain. It's our brain's response to certain things. And so depending what's currently going on in your life, how much stress you're under, what you feel about the current situation or event you're in that might have caused pain, who's around you, all these other things can actually influence the pain that we feel. Here's a couple of examples. There was one study done where they hooked people up to basically they put some sticky pads and receptors onto the person, hooked up to wires, and they told them it was going to send electrical currents into them. Now, it was a completely fake simulator. There was no current sent whatsoever. But when they compared what each person felt compared to someone who actually did get the same voltage of electrical stimulation, they felt the same amount of pain. And so if they told someone they were going to get a larger amount of stimulation, they felt more pain than someone who was told it would be less, even though neither of them received any electrical stimulation whatsoever. It's crazy. Then you look at another study where they were testing pain thresholds in people, and they had a group of men and they were seeing how much of a certain stimulation they could handle before they said, no, that hurts too much. And the men's ability to handle the pain threshold was higher if a female was testing that threshold rather than a male. So it's not about the injury or whatever's going on in your body per se. It's about how your brain experiences the sensation that it turns into pain. And stress is so important to this for a number of reasons. If you're under a lot of stress, then it makes sense that your brain might overreact to some of these sensations and make your pain hurt more. But there's other things stress does as well to the nervous system and the hormones in our body and all those kind of things. And we'll touch on that in a second. That's why this time of year, at least we've noticed in our offices at Sympathetic Chiropractic, and I'm sure we're not the only ones, we have our busiest time of year in the 6 weeks between Thanksgiving and New Year's. And what theory we've come up with that seems to hold every year is what we've called ING syndrome, the ING syndrome, because everyone's so stressed out because we're doing all these things that we wouldn't normally do. We're cooking and visiting and shopping and driving around more and drinking more alcohol and doing all of these things all combined, while also with colder weather, so we're not getting as much sunshine, which means less vitamin D, which means less immune function, but also just less happiness, because the more we're outside, the more dopamine and serotonin we have. So you do all these things, and people then wonder why they're stressed out and running into other stressed out individuals, and they present to us with headaches and tiredness and back pain and stomach issues and crankiness and mood swings and lack of sleep and all of this stuff, just because there's so much going on at this time. And so all of that stress is really impacting everything that is going on in their brain and the way their brain responds to situations and events. And if you are having pain, everything just starts to compound on itself. And that's when the pain levels start to go up and up. So this stress then creates this merry-go-round. And it's not just pain. This stress then starts to lead to anxiety and worry and depression and all of these other things because of its effect on the body and on the brain. What stress does is it lights up a part of our nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. And the role of the sympathetic nervous system, really above anything else, is to protect us. It lights up our fight-flight response. If you're in a very dangerous, life-threatening situation, you want this part of your nervous system to kick in. It will switch off all parts of your brain that aren't needed and get you straight into a mindset where you're either going to be able to fight or run as fast as you can to get away from the situation. It builds up stress and tension in your powerful muscles so you're ready to do. This is where mothers have been shown to do superhuman things like lift a car off a child and things like that. Our heart needs more blood and that starts pumping harder. Our pupils dilate. The blood comes away from the skin, so if we get cut, we don't bleed to death. But then our brain shuts off the things we don't need, like our reproductive system, our immune system, our stomach system, all those kind of things. So that's fine when there's a 10 or 20 second moment where we need that to kick in. But when we're under stress, and we're under stress 24/7, or at least a lot of us are at this time of year, that sympathetic nervous system is just on all the time. And that increase in adrenaline and cortisol, these stress hormones, are very, very toxic to the body in a lot of different ways. But probably one of the biggest issues with having those two hormones consistently up high is it decreases our healing ability and increases our level of anxiety and despair and completely messes with the immune system. See, our immune system is meant to be our protector, but it can get stuck in hyperdrive, and cortisol and adrenaline just keep driving it because it reacts to that. It knows we've got this stress going on. So it's like it's becoming hyper aware. It's looking for every little thing that could go wrong. And then this, of course, leads to all sorts of issues with pain as well, because we know that long-term stress and pain leads to this alteration in the immune system, which then leads to more molecules around our body, or producing more molecules around our body that create inflammation, which creates more pain creates more stress, creates more hyperactive immune system, and you can see where this just goes on and on and on. So what can we do to buffer our immune system, improve our pain, and improve our stress, especially at this time of year? Well, there's a whole range of things. We're going to do another video talking just about those things you can do. Things like setting better sleep habits, because it's hard to get quality sleep when you're stressed anyway. Better nutrition, and we'll do a whole video just on nutrition that helps with stress, anxiety, and pain. Getting outside as much as you can, staying hydrated, doing hobbies you enjoy, being social with people, moving. All of these things are very important, but chiropractic plays a very important role as well. Chiropractic does a couple things. Number one, when you get adjusted by a chiropractor, research is showing that there's direct effects on the brain that do a couple of things. First of all, it immediately increases the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the buffer or the counterbalance to the sympathetic nervous system. So if the parasympathetic goes up, the sympathetic goes down, which means we're turning down this fight-flight response, which means less cortisol, less adrenaline, all of those things. But chiropractic is also being shown in the research to have an immediate and direct effect on a part of our brain that's near the front here called the prefrontal cortex. And that prefrontal cortex plays a huge role in what's called the brain's pain matrix. That's where a lot of the information from our body that comes to the brain to tell us where we are in space, if any of that information is faulty, the prefrontal cortex is where it deals with it. So if we can clean that up by getting adjusted, then our body again is going to turn down the pain reaction to a lot of these things. Now, chiropractic alone isn't going to always deal with all of these symptoms. It's just one huge factor that is going to help calm down the stress, which calms down pain. And as we know, if we can calm down both the pain and the stress, our immune system calms down, which means less inflammation being produced in the body. And now we start this cycle this way instead of this other way where we're ramping everything up. So if you are under stress, in pain or not in pain, but either in pain or stressed or both, maybe use this time of year to go and visit your chiropractor more often than you normally would to help your body adapt and adjust and respond to everything going around you, because it is a crazy time of year right now. Almost everyone is affected by this ING syndrome in some way, shape, or form, because even if you're not stressed, you can bet that 95% of the people you're running into are stressed, and eventually their energy has to affect us in some way. So that's why we're so busy at this time of year, because so many people realize how they feel after they get adjusted and they know they're stressed out. They come in, we adjust them, it helps their brain calm everything down, and off they go. So the next two videos that we do will give you some great tips on how to deal with this stress at home yourself, So not just seeing the chiropractor, but what else you can do. And then one whole video just on the nutrition that's important when you're stressed and or in pain, because that has more of an effect than you would even realize. So thanks for joining us. Please share this video with any family members or friends who you know are stressed out, and hopefully this information will help them a lot. We'll see you next time.